Hello my wonderful, beautiful friends, and welcome back to r/PettyRevenge, one of my favorite subreddits because sometimes you gotta hear about the small victories in life, as not everybody deserves to have their lives crumble around them. My friends, I hope you enjoy the stories today and get a few good laughs out of them as well, because I sure as heck did. Oh, and be sure to hit that subscribe button for future revenge stories. Guys, let's dive in. This was several years ago, when I was living at my parents' house still. I was around 19 at the time, and I used to drive an old pickup truck, which I always parked in the street in front of my house as my parents put one car in the garage and the other car in the driveway on the other side. This way, no one was ever blocked in. Our old neighbors used to always have large gatherings of families and friends, and it seemed like once a month I would come home to find our street lined with cars all at their house. One weekend, my parents were out of town, which left the driveway open, so I parked in it, because why not? This was on a Saturday. I realized that our neighbors were having people over. No big deal. It happens regularly, and they're polite and quiet. I decided to run and pick myself up some dinner, probably around 6 or 7 p.m. I was gone maybe half an hour, and when I get back, I noticed that someone was parked right smack in the middle of our driveway. It wasn't just any car though, it was a G-Wagon. I had seen this SUV several times before. Usually, it was one of the cars that were parked close to the front of our driveway, but this time, they decided to park it in our driveway. Could I have gone and asked them to move their car and park it elsewhere? Of course I could have. But did I? No. Instead, I parked my truck across the entire entrance of the driveway, blocking them in. After a few hours, I get a knock at the door, and guess who it is? The car's owner, having the gall to ask me to move my truck so they can leave. I'll be honest, I could have moved it, no problem. Instead, I told them as I had already gone and picked up dinner, I had no reason to leave until at least the next afternoon. They asked if I could move it as they wanted to go home, and I told them again, I had no real reason to leave and my truck is really loud, and I don't want to disturb the other neighbors by starting it so late at night, and they were welcome to come back for it tomorrow. I left the truck there until around noon the next day. Not sure how they got home, as this was before Uber and there were no taxis in the area, and they were one of the last vehicles to leave the party, but that ain't my problem. Should've thought about that before parking in my driveway. Guys, what kind of lunatic parks in someone's driveway? And smack dab in the middle of it as well. Like, dude, I know G-Wagons can cost a lot of money, but you aren't entitled to take up someone's entire driveway. Ridiculous. So, I moved into a shared apartment pre-COVID and never met the guy whose room I was taking over. He was also selling his bed, so we texted back and forth to settle on the price, etc. I asked if it came with bedding, since I just moved to a new country and had nothing like that. He said it did. So on move day, I show up, and the only thing on the bed is this ratty old blanket that looks more like a Christmas tree skirt, and 2 pillows to match. The kind you can't even really wash, and are like a fake silky kind of material. It had tassels. It wasn't warm, it wasn't comfortable, not clean, and definitely not usable. Not even so much as a fitted sheet left behind. It was like he went to the Salvation Army and picked up the cheapest bedding he could find. I texted him about it, and he said something along the lines of, well, I said the bed was new, I didn't say the bedding was. Anyway, I couldn't sleep there the first night, and went back to my hostel and bought my own bedding the next day. But Buddy left an unbuilt Ikea desk in the corner of the room, and said they were coming to pick it up sometime during the week. It wasn't in a box, just bundled up and held together with some masking tape, so it wasn't brand new. I stared at it for days before deciding to actually do it. So I took out 2 key pieces of the desk. Not like a full leg, but not a small, easily replaceable screw either. I don't know exactly what structural pieces they were, but I feel confident that he couldn't have built it properly without them. I had to wait until my other roommates were out to go toss them in a bin down the street, so they wouldn't be able to trace it back to me if the old flatmate asked. Anyway, the girlfriend came to pick it up, and I never heard from the guy again. I like to think he couldn't use his desk, and knew it was me, but couldn't prove it. I really thought OP was going to assemble the desk, so when they came to pick it up, they'd have to disassemble it. Guys, it would have been so funny to come back to a desk that you took apart, only to have it sitting there fully built again. Oh my goodness, I wish I could have done that. So, here's my story on getting back at this prick surgeon. Background. I'm an anesthesiologist, and back when I was doing my residency training, there was this loudmouth prick orthopedic surgeon at the hospital I worked. Let's call him Greg. He was always complaining about the anesthesia delaying him and was never happy, and talked in this loud, abrasive tone. Basically treated everyone like peons around him. One day, I was in his room wearing a lead apron, as we were doing a case that required x-rays. Unbeknownst to me, I had grabbed the personalized lead aprons of one of his colleagues, Dr. Smith, who was not working that day. As the case is going, Greg looks up and sees that I'm wearing Smith's lead apron. He stops what he's doing and asked me, "Are you Dr. Smith?" I replied that no, I wasn't. He then proceeds to flip out and asked, "Why the hell are you wearing his lead then? Take it off now and get another different lead apron at the rack." Me, being a lowly resident at the time, I bit my tongue and changed lead aprons in front of all the other coworkers in the room because this prick was making such a big deal out of it. A really belittling experience that made me hate this guy. So, the revenge. One day soon after that experience, I grabbed some lunch at work and went to the lounge to eat. The lounge was empty, so I started to eat my hospital cafeteria sandwich in peace. While eating, I noticed a white coat that physicians wear hanging on the rack. I looked at the name and saw it belonged to that prick orthopedic surgeon Greg. After checking to make sure that nobody else was in the lounge, I got up and grabbed the sopping wet pickle spear that came with my lunch and placed it in Dr. Greg's white coat pocket and left. Guys, this is one of the petty stories that I wish turned into something more. I feel like a pickle in the pocket was not enough, guys. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you would have done if you were in an OP situation. So, back in March, I had surgery. My surgeon told me that I could not be around secondhand smoke or vapor. I worked at a hair salon catering to hair loss clients, so we had a big office space to make wigs and hair pieces. This was also our lunchroom. 3 women vaped all day in this room, and these 3 women picked on me relentlessly. Mind you, I'm 21 and these women were like 50. I politely asked all the employees who vaped to please avoid doing it around me as I was recovering from surgery. Did it work? No. It made it 100 times worse. They'd vape in my coffee, in the wigs I was working on, in everything. I tried to bring it up to the manager, who is the owner's son, and that didn't go over too well since he vaped as well. So I did some research, and it's actually illegal to vape inside a non-smoking building. I brought this up to my manager, and again, he blew me off. So I went to the owner of the building. I had photos of their vape pens plugged into chargers at work, photos of them vaping in the office, even photos of the manager vaping. The owner increased the rent for the company and threatened to evict if the vaping continued. The owner of the building told the owner of the company I worked for that a client had complained and was allergic to the vapor, so I was never suspected. The building owner also fined them $2,000 or $2,500, and I ended up quitting shortly after, as those 3 women drove me absolutely crazy, and there was nothing being done about it. But that's my petty revenge story. So, the part where OP said they'd vape in my coffee, they mean that they were blowing vape smoke into it, right? Because that's some disrespectful BS that deserves a smack right then and there. Absolutely unbelievable. When I was in high school, I worked as a stocker in a grocery store. One hot Sunday, I'm stocking the ice cream freezer and saw a young woman grab a couple of ice cream bars and shove them in her shorts. Quickly, I found my manager and told him what I'd seen. I pointed out the woman as she was walking out of the store, and he went running. He caught up with her, and I watched from the store entry as he chatted with her for a few minutes in the hot parking lot. I was wondering what the heck they were talking about. As the manager's walking back to the store, I see her reach into her shorts and toss the bars into the landscape planter. So his revenge was to tell her the store was doing a survey and had some customer survey questions. Probably being scared, she cooperated. They stood there for a good 10 minutes in scorching heat talking, and when he saw the ice cream melting and running down her legs, he finished the interview. He then thanked her and came back into the store. We had a good laugh over his creative way to punish the shoplifter. So, my last relationship was beyond bad. It was all sorts of abusive and controlling. At one point, I had the strength to break up with him, but then we got back together after we discussed some things. Stupid, I know, but yeah, love and all that. Well, anyways, one of the crazy things we agreed on was that he and I would stop drinking alcohol, because he was beyond crazy aggressive when he drank, and I wanted to support his sobriety. This is really important. Fast forward about 8 months or so, and we got in this huge fight, and I not only broke up with him, I kicked him out of the house and told him he was never allowed back inside. We'd been living together for over a year at this point, so his mom got in touch with me about getting his stuff. While on the phone with her, I could hear them in the background saying to make sure they get everything they own or bought, as they want it all back. Apparently, even the stuff he gifted me he wanted back, but honestly, I didn't care. I was happy to get rid of anything related to him. So while cleaning our room up and gathering everything, I started to come across numerous bottles and cans of alcohol. It seemed he'd been drinking again for a while and was hiding the evidence in the room. I mean, he was hiding them under his bed, in his guitar case, rolled up in his clothes, in some backpacks of mine, and so on and so forth. He said he wanted everything of his, so any bottle and the few unopened cans I found went straight into the garbage bags of his stuff. By the time I'd gathered everything up, I had 3 bags of stuff, and one was basically just all the alcohol. Dropping them off was just so satisfying. He actually called moments after I left his place, ranting about how petty and immature I was being, and my response was, well, you wanted all of your stuff back, and those definitely weren't mine. Plus, I figured you'd probably need a drink to deal with the breakup. I promptly ended the call and blocked him on everything. Most satisfying thing I've ever done. And probably one of the best things you've ever done as well, OP. I hope you're doing well now, my friend. Guys, and that wraps up another episode of r/PettyRevenge. Guys, it's been such a long time since I've been in the sub, and absolutely had a few great laughs today reading the stories. If you guys missed the last episode on my channel, a bridezilla and her guests absolutely destroy 70 hotel rooms, and then she has the audacity to ask for a refund. Check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.